Think about this for a second. What's something you did today without even thinking? Maybe you shared food with a bird. Maybe you held someone's hand in public. Maybe you ignored your fuel warning light just a little longer. Now imagine doing that exact same thing in another country, and suddenly you're stopped by the police. Not because you did something dangerous, not because you meant any harm, but simply because in that country, it's illegal. And the craziest part? Most travelers don't even realize these laws exist until they're already in trouble. Today, we're going to explore 8 completely normal things that are illegal in different countries. And as we go along, you'll also hear what could actually happen if you break these laws, and how you can avoid putting yourself in that situation. Because trust me, some of these are so unexpected, you'll never travel the same way again. Germany, running out of fuel. Let's start in Germany. You're driving on the Autobahn, one of the most famous highways in the world. Cars are flying past you at incredible speeds. Everything feels smooth, controlled, almost like a movie scene. Then suddenly, your car slows down. That fuel warning light you ignored earlier? Now it's too late. Your car stops. Now, in many places, people would just say, "That's unfortunate." But in Germany, this is treated very differently. Running out of fuel on the Autobahn is considered something you should have prevented, and because stopping unnecessarily on that road is dangerous, you can actually be fined for it. You could be looking at a fine, extra charges if your car blocks traffic, and even towing costs, all because you didn't refill in time. And honestly, when you think about it, it makes sense. The Autobahn isn't just any road. It's designed for speed and efficiency, and one stopped vehicle can put a lot of people at risk. So if you ever find yourself driving in Germany, you quickly learn that the fuel gauge is not something you manage later. It's something you stay ahead of. Now let's move to London. You're standing in a beautiful public square. Historic buildings surround you, tourists are taking pictures, and pigeons are everywhere. You take out a piece of bread, throw a few crumbs, and suddenly birds gather around you. It feels peaceful, almost cinematic. But here's what many people don't realize. In places like Trafalgar Square, feeding pigeons is actually banned. And if you do it, you could be fined, sometimes heavily. Now, at first, this sounds extreme. Why would feeding birds be illegal? But when you understand the history, it becomes clearer. For years, people fed pigeons constantly. The population grew out of control. The birds started damaging buildings, statues, and creating sanitation issues. What looked like a harmless act slowly turned into a citywide problem. So today, what feels like kindness can actually cost you money. And the safest thing to do when you're there? Just enjoy the moment without feeding the birds. Brazil, smoking indoors. Now imagine you're in Brazil. You've just finished a meal at a restaurant. You're relaxed, maybe talking with friends, and you decide to light a cigarette right there at your table. In some places, that might still be acceptable, but in Brazil, that's not something you can casually do. Smoking in enclosed public spaces is strictly prohibited. And this isn't one of those rules people ignore. It's actively enforced. If you try it, you could be asked to stop immediately, fined, or even escorted out, while the business itself could face penalties just for allowing it. The reason is simple. Brazil takes public health seriously, especially when it comes to secondhand smoke. So what might feel like a personal choice quickly becomes something that affects everyone around you. And if you're visiting, you quickly learn that the right move is simple. Step outside, because staying inside and lighting up could turn a relaxing moment into an uncomfortable situation very quickly. Jamaica, wearing camouflage. Now this one surprises a lot of people. You're packing for a trip to Jamaica. You throw in a few outfits, maybe a stylish camouflage jacket, a pair of camo shorts, or even just a cap. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you arrive, that outfit can actually get you stopped. In Jamaica, camouflage clothing is strictly reserved for the military. That means even tourists are not allowed to wear it. And yes, even something as small as a camouflage hat can attract attention. In some cases, the item can be taken from you on the spot, and you might be questioned or fined. It's one of those rules that catches people completely off guard. Because globally, camouflage is just fashion, but locally, it carries a completely different meaning. So if Jamaica is on your list, one simple decision can save you stress. Leave anything camouflage at home. Singapore, chewing gum restrictions. Now let's talk about Singapore, a country famous for being extremely clean and organized. Imagine landing at the airport with a pack of chewing gum in your bag. Something completely normal, right? But in Singapore, importing and selling chewing gum is heavily restricted. This law was introduced to keep public spaces clean, because gum used to be stuck everywhere, on sidewalks, in elevators, even on train doors. So today, if you try to bring in large amounts or sell it illegally, you could face fines or legal trouble. Even though small personal use is sometimes tolerated under strict conditions, it's not something you want to play around with, because Singapore enforces its rules very seriously. And what feels like a harmless habit can quickly become something authorities take interest in. So when traveling there, it's best to simply avoid carrying or distributing chewing gum altogether. Iran, pork consumption. Now let's move to Iran. Food is always one of the most exciting parts of traveling, trying new dishes, exploring local flavors. But in Iran, there's one thing you won't find: pork. It's completely prohibited due to religious laws. And this isn't just about restaurants not serving it. Bringing pork products into the country can lead to them being confiscated, and in some cases you could face fines or further questioning. So even something as simple as packed food from home could become a problem if it includes restricted items. And the best way to handle this is simple: adapt. Iran has a rich and diverse food culture, and there's plenty to enjoy without going against local laws. Because sometimes respecting the culture is not just polite, it's necessary. Saudi Arabia, public display of affection. Now imagine walking down the street with someone you care about. You hold hands, maybe share a quick hug. In many countries, that's completely normal. But in Saudi Arabia, public displays of affection are restricted, and even small gestures can attract attention. Depending on the situation, you could be warned, fined, or even stopped by authorities. Not because the action is harmful, but because it goes against cultural and social expectations. And this is something many travelers underestimate. They assume normal behavior is universal, but in reality, cultural boundaries vary widely. So when you're there, the safest approach is to observe how locals behave and follow that lead, because blending in is always safer than standing out for the wrong reasons. Thailand, stepping on currency. Now let's go to Thailand. You drop some money on the ground. Instinctively, you step on it to stop it from blowing away. It's a quick reaction, something most people wouldn't think twice about. But in Thailand, that action can actually get you into trouble, because the currency features the king, and stepping on it is seen as deeply disrespectful. And Thailand takes respect for the monarchy very seriously. So what feels like a simple reflex can be interpreted very differently. In some cases, this could lead to fines or even legal consequences. And the safest thing to do: let the money fall, then pick it up properly. Because in this case, it's not about the money, it's about what it represents.
Libya. Now imagine you're visiting Libya. You've had a long day exploring, maybe walking through the city, taking in the sights, and in the evening you start thinking about relaxing. A drink sounds nice, something simple to unwind. In many countries, that's completely normal. But in Libya, that's not something you can just do. Alcohol is strictly prohibited. And this isn't just about bars or restaurants not serving it. Bringing alcohol into the country, or trying to buy or consume it, can lead to serious trouble. In some cases, it can be confiscated immediately. And depending on the situation, you could face questioning, fines, or even legal consequences. Not because having a drink is seen as harmful on its own, but because it goes against religious and cultural laws. And this is something many travelers don't expect. Because globally, alcohol is often part of social life. But in Libya, it's treated very differently. So what might feel like a normal way to relax can quickly become something authorities take seriously. And if you're visiting, the safest choice is simple: avoid alcohol completely. Because sometimes respecting local laws isn't just about fitting in, it's about staying out of trouble altogether.
So, here's the reality. The world isn't just different in language, food, or culture. It's different in laws, sometimes in ways you would never expect. And the most dangerous mistakes are not the obvious ones. They're the things you don't even realize are wrong. So before you travel anywhere, take a moment to understand not just what's exciting about a country, but what's expected. Because that knowledge could save you money, stress, or even something more serious. Now I'm curious, which of these surprised you the most? And are there any strange or unexpected laws in your country? Drop them in the comments. I might include them in the next video. And if you enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening facts from around the world. See you in the next one.